You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877-Dr. Dahlia, 1-877-DOCDALI. So one of the fast food places I do frequent is In-N-Out. Not frequently, but I like In-N-Out. And I think the reason why is it reminds me of Bob's Big Boy. I really love Bob's Big Boy. Was probably my favorite burger, but we don't have a Bob's Big Boy where I live anymore. I just loved the taste, and I know there were small burgers, but gosh, they were yummy. Burgers were smaller then. So In-N-Out reminds me of that. Would never think that going into an In-N-Out would end in a bloody, mass event. But in Idaho Falls, sadly, there was a shooting. 24-year-old gunman, Chad Williams, opened fire at a crowded In-N-Out burger in Twin Falls, Idaho. He killed 3 people and wounded 7 others before taking his own life. Fortunately, a bystander started shooting back, as well as an off-duty Idaho State trooper. We don't have a motive. Twin Falls Police Chief Matthew Hicks on Sunday said investigators were confident that he acted alone. Still no motive, but Police Chief Matt Hicks believes their actions of those who stopped him helped drive the suspect away from the scene, preventing further casualties. He says we want to take a moment and commend the actions of the off-duty officer and the citizen and their heroic action to stop the incident. Here is a clip from one of the eyewitnesses.
Yeah, I would say he definitely distracted the shooter from shooting more people. The shooter was solely focused on him, and it allowed us to get out. I mean, the car directly ahead of me was getting shot.
Now, police have not publicly identified the trooper or the bystander, but I believe the hero was Jordan Salinas, 35 years old, of Kimberly, Idaho. And he was able to, we believe, who's a reported healthcare worker and full-time caregiver for his wheelchair-bound brother, apparently was the one that was able to distract and fire back. He told the paper that he took up gun training at a 2021 shooting, never even aiming a gun at an animal. He's saying he was able to observe, orient, and decide that, okay, this is the guy, before being resolute to act. And that the gunman was shocked by the armed response. Salinas, whose girlfriend was at the restaurant and was struck in the fire, told the Statesman paper, adding that he felt no fear. He did not like it when bullets started firing both ways. He said there's a task that needs to be done, and we're the ones who need to do it. And then he stood down when the police took over the scene, thinking, okay, my part is done. Now, the shooter did not die from those gunshot wounds. Apparently, he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound near the restaurant. This is being reported by Fox News. So Twin Falls County Sheriff Jack Johnson said these people are true heroes in our community. They diverted the shooter and without a doubt saved many lives. Hicks said the Williams family was cooperating with authorities. Detectives were examining his activities before the shooting, trying to examine whether any victims have been deliberately targeted. Why that In-N-Out? Why In-N-Out? Why shooting a group of people? Why that day? 7 people injured, 2 remain in critical condition as of yesterday. 3 listed as stable. 2 had been treated and released from a hospital. We were told that 3 died. 1 shot in the chest. So, we just spoke about this with a Jewish center wanting to sue Silver Spring, Maryland federal court, a law that prevents them from being able to have volunteer or individuals on site that are armed to protect themselves. One thing about criminals, if there's any predictability to a criminal that has unpredictable actions and psychosis and malicious and malice thought and murderous intent, one thing that is predictable is they don't like obstruction. And they can be deterred in one way or another. And so somehow we need to look at the deterrent. So we learn about this. I really recommend everybody get a CCW course. Even if you don't want to carry, you learn a lot. And you learn a lot about criminals and criminal thinking. and the mind of the criminal. And so if they see a house, with open doors and open windows and flashy things, okay, that's going to attract them. But if they see beware of dog, if they see large leashes, right? If they see surveillance cameras, if they see bars on the window, they're not going to probably rob that house. Now, I understand you got these movies that are glorifying Ocean's 11 and, wow, okay, they're going to want to, pick the more difficult, they're going to want to pick the more difficult cases. And no. Okay, because their goal is to get what they want and leave, and without getting arrested, and to be able to do it again. They want to get away with it, and they're going to want to go for ease. So, I used to work, I worked multiple part-time jobs. One of my jobs got out at 11 o'clock at night. I didn't have a car because I couldn't afford a car, so I had to walk home at about 11:30 at night. What I did is I walked with a racket. I didn't think anybody could see my pepper spray or the keys interlocked in between my fingers, but I figured they could see my racket really well. And even though I had been a victim of assault later on, I was never, thank God, assaulted walking home at 11:30 at night in not a good area. Why? Because I really credit having a racket. And I think, somebody thought, she didn't know how to use it. Now, I'm not saying, maybe I was just really, really lucky. And I still do believe I was really, really lucky with the grace of God. But you need to have barriers. And so many of these individuals, think they're going to be able to just go to an In-N-Out where there's a bunch of young people and they're going to get to do as much damage as possible. And then they look shocked that somebody is shooting back at them because they think they have that time. They look up what the transit time is for first responders, which could range anywhere from a few minutes to, 10, 15 minutes. I think they say on average in an average city, it could be 6 to 7 minutes, sometimes sooner. But they're taking that into account. So they think they have enough time in that minute or two. And this is what I said with the earlier segment last hour. You need to let people think that you are armed to the gill, that this isn't a no-gun zone where you will be shot at. And so good for these guys jumping in like they did. 1-877-LA.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years, stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's Aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at Aftermath.media. Again, that's Aftermath.media.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-Doc Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So many of you have heard the term doxing. Doxing is a term that we've really only heard a lot about in the last 12 months. When people try to dox ICE agents, and now Mamdani is doxing their millionaires with the pied-à-terre tax. Doxing is where somebody publishes your private and personal details online without your permission for malicious reasons, to cause shame, harm, or fear. Doxing is a term for dropping documents. So it could be your home address, your phone number, your workplace. It's very dangerous. Financial data, ID numbers. And even though people can get some of this information from voter registration and things online, for them to publish it, I really think that should be a crime. But this is what people are doing as they're going after ICE agents, as they're going after New Yorkers that have $5 million second homes. And to see this sort of action be done by a mayor is very shocking. So New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is now facing severe backlash because he published a searchable public database linking names and home addresses to hundreds of thousands of properties that may be subject to this new luxury pied-à-terre tax. Pied-à-terre tax is, its direct translation is like small apartment, or it's supposed to be like a second home. The pied-à-terre, I think terre is for residence, and pied means small, like a small home, like a second home sort of thing. Apparently some rich people, can spend $5 million on their second home. That's their business. But the government actually doxing them, publishing their information. I mean, even movie stars, celebrities, are they allowed to do that? So the database was from the NYC Department of Finance. They published a comprehensive searchable list tracking about 1 million residencies and owners' names suspected of fitting into this second home criteria. Now, originally they said it was about maybe 25,000 residencies. No, at least 960,000. And so a lot of high public figures, celebrities, political donors are within that data, like Anna Wintour, Cynthia Nixon, Darren Aronofsky. And so critics are like, wait a second here, you're letting people see their personal, individuals who, like John Lennon, want to go to New York sometimes to blend in and have some privacy and be away from, prying eyes, and as they can blend into a very busy urban area. And now that you're doxing them, now people could be found. People could be targeted. It's very dangerous. It's very reckless. Governor Kathy Hochul defending the move. She says property assessment data has always been a matter of public record and that transparency is required so property owners can verify or contest their tax status. Okay, but here's my issue. Okay, you have to be transparent to the government agency. That doesn't mean you need to be transparent to your next door neighbor. Why does your next door neighbor have to know what you spent on your unit? That's not, or somebody across the street or in another borough or in, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Why does there have to be that transparency? So, this is, again, we keep going back to the Democratic Socialists, of America, spearheaded what used to be the Bernie Sanders being the poster child. Now Zohran Mamdani wants to take on that role. And how far are they going to go? And are they going to turn America so they won't? It's the people that are voting for them would. If they go, well, we're not making money. We're not, getting $5 million apartments. Yeah, let's go after the rich. Absolutely. This idea that they're going to go after autocracy, go after rich people, when the rich people are the ones making the jobs. And I'm not here to play a violin for rich people. But if no money is coming in And these people with these pied-à-terre are figuring out ways to minimize their property value, so they fall under that. Then the state or the city is going to say, okay, well, now we're going to knock it down to $4 million, and then $3 million, $2 million. Anybody who makes over $250,000, let's just tax them. This is just the start. Whenever you see a group of individuals get discriminated against, it's going to come after you as well. We saw proof of this with the COVID vaccine. If you didn't get the COVID vaccine, doctors wouldn't see you, hospitals wanted to kick you out, schools wouldn't let you in, you couldn't go see your favorite sports team, military, you got kicked out of the military. I mean, they will, once we allow a form of discrimination or a form of doxing, it can very easily extend to you, even if you're not currently a millionaire. So we do need to fight this. Now, the idea of, well, the rich need to pay more. I don't know how much the average person is paying in taxes. And my guess is somebody like Cynthia Nixon, who makes a pretty public, large salary, is paying a good amount of taxes. But to tax extra their living is a little stupid because they could move. They could sell their place and move. Now, we're being told that a lot of these places are having trouble selling for over $5 million because fewer people want to buy at over $5 million. So we're going to see now we're going to see things go down. We're also seeing prices go up because cheaper units are now taking advantage. They're like, well, wait a second. If somebody doesn't want to spend $5 million and they're so afraid of being under that $5 million, we have a little bit more wiggle room. So we could charge $3 million for ours and make it look attractive, and they'll buy it because they aren't going to get taxed extra. So we're seeing that the cost can actually affect now lower priced unit homes. Not very smart. And people are going to take advantage. One thing that the rich know how to do is make money and try to protect their money. So if all they have to do is say, I'm done with New York, see ya, they'll do that. They're rich. They're able to hire movers. They can do that. And so then who is Mom Dami going to go after for money? All these, well, we're going to do the free health care, and we're going to do the free child care, and we're going to do the government-run grocery stores, and we're going to get this from the pied-à-terre tax while he's showing everybody where the rich people live. So he wants to scare the rich people out of there. Is he doing it because he thinks they're going to vote for his opponents? Well, now that they're gone, who's he going to go after next? The upper middle class? The middle class? Who are you going to tax? So people will leave. And we're hearing that there's some very interesting primaries coming up, like what you're seeing in Michigan. And one report is very, very interesting. This article by USA Today is Democrats are poised to blow a winnable midterm. And apparently the author of this, Dace Potus from USA Today, says progressives are taking over in the primaries, making the Republicans have an easier shot because they're so progressive and far leaning to the left that they aren't as winnable. When you look at Michigan, the Abdul El Sayed looks like he is going to very easily overtake U.S. Representative Haley Stevens. But Haley Stevens, viewed by establishment Democrats, think that she's a safer bet for the general election because she's more moderate and she's not anti-Israel. But El Sayed is leading. More money, more votes. Now, people ask, well, if somebody is leading in the primaries, how will they lose the general election? Because among the Democrats that are split, that's one race. But for all Democrats to get behind somebody that extreme, do you want that to represent the party? And the Democrats did this to themselves because the mainstream Democrats were all trying to make people believe that Biden was of sound mind and that Biden was the person you needed to support. So Democrats felt like they were lied to, or they had to look like idiots. So people don't like Democrats. That's how Trump won again. So the progressives are trying to use the Democratic base, use Democratic money, but be a new party. And they are. They're actually changing the face of the party. We have never seen so much anti-Semitism in the Democratic Party as we do now. And that's what they're, and such, I mean, there was the Squad, and you were like, my gosh, what the hell are they talking about it? And now you're seeing these individuals actually win races. So can they win in an election? I think in some, yes. I think the Wisconsin governor may go to a progressive. We'll see. 1-877 Doc Dolly.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regenerations. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Dolly Show. 1-877 Doc Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. Well, when former President Joe Biden pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci, I did a double take. I was like, somebody's getting a pardon. That's suggesting they did something. They need protection. And if you look at the pardon protects Dr. Anthony Fauci from January 1st, 2014 to January 19th, 2025. Just the cusp of when Biden left office. Why did Fauci need an 11-year pardon? What did he do that needed such federal protection? Well, it covers him for any federal crimes related to his work as director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, chief medical advisor, or member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force. If he did nothing wrong, why does he need a pardon spanning 11 years? Makes you wonder. Now, him pleading the fifth, when he was up against the Senate hearing, no shock there, because his pardon only protects him from up to January 19th, 2025. So federally, anything he does after that can then be used against him. So one such thing that he could be in trouble for is perjury. Since there's excerpts from his diary, there's proof of gain-of-function research, but if the perjury happened during those 11 years, which we believe it did, federally that's going to be tough. Now, Governor DeSantis, said state-wise, he's not immune. Governor DeSantis told America's Newsroom, Fox News, that they're going to launch an investigation into Dr. Fauci after publicly noting that the preemptive federal pardon issued by former President Biden, which was possibly auto-penned and might not even be valid according to President Trump, only covers federal offenses, but leaves Fauci potentially vulnerable to state-level prosecution. Now, from what I hear, that is a little difficult. And, there's Rand Paul and other senators are pushing for contempt proceedings after Fauci invoked his Fifth Amendment. But this preemptive federal pardon is if it holds, auto pen or not, protects him. Now, I'm hearing doctors go back and forth, especially the liberal doctors love Fauci. They think Fauci tried to protect us and he was all wonderful. Look, if the guy lied, if the guy BS'd, if he put his salary for, I told you, I lost a lot of respect for him when he said he felt like he couldn't do what he needed to in the Trump administration and he had to bite his tongue. I go, well, then you're not a doctor. Okay, medicine comes first. If you really, really felt that you were not giving the advice you wanted to give, if you really felt, then you leave your post. Okay, no, you wanted the $400,000+ salary, and you wanted to play it both ways. Yeah, no, you can't do that. And if he was covering his ass, because some of the research they did this outbreak, or helped allow China to create this, or accidentally leak it, you really covering your ass? The fact that Biden had to include Fauci in his pardon is pretty significant. So here we are in 2026, and I'm seeing doctors go back and forth going, wow, the man's in his 80s. Why are we beating a dead horse with this? It's over. The problem we have is if there's no repercussions, and we need to jail Fauci and all this other stuff. What I'm saying is we do need to investigate, and we need to ensure that the BS that happened during the COVID pandemic doesn't happen again. COVID is back. Keeps coming back. Luckily, it's been weaker, but it still's coming back. And whether it's Ebola, whether it's measles, whether it's, public officials may, especially in an election year, try to take advantage of the situation again. And whoever is going to be leading the response, needs to be ethical, needs to have integrity, needs to be open and honest about America's enrollment and other countries' enrollment, and needs to not withhold things or try to squash science or try to keep the American people uninformed, which Fauci has been accused of. And, this is something that we need to make sure doesn't happen again. Fauci made some major, major mistakes. What he should have done is what he had originally said, as it pertains to masks. Look, they're a barrier. Are they going to protect you 100%? No. And then something switched, and I think he realized that he needed to go along with a certain grain. And I think it's because he realized that he had a big role in this, and he could be in big trouble. And somebody said, look, you got to get Trump out, right? And we got to get Biden in, or we're all going down for this COVID thing. By the way, where are the repercussions on China? When is, China's the one that leaked this. And as I said before, it wasn't their first rodeo. The Singapore Health Ministry found that the 2002 SARS outbreak was from a COVID leak in China. So we need to ensure this doesn't happen again. We also have to make sure that the government isn't still funding gain-of-function research. And I understand you could do research on something and inadvertently it can mutate. But we're being told that they were doing experiments on something that they knew caused epidemics. Where was the care? Where was the oversight? Even if we didn't have malicious intent, why aren't we overseeing our partners? Doing research with other countries is commonplace. We partner all the time with other countries in research. It's a way that we keep everything symbiotic. But we're all supposed to have oversight. We're supposed to have access to the lab. We got none of that. And we kept being told it was a wet market or bat soup or some BS. Now, the fact that we were able to come up with the vaccine quickly, to me, means we had the database and we had some knowledge. And thank God Trump was able to get pharmaceutical companies to get a vaccine out by December. Biden was able to roll out the vaccine. I credit both of them. But then when they went to mandating the vaccine, when Biden went to mandate the vaccine, that's where things went wrong, especially threatening to pull funding from hospitals. That was complete BS, which I disagree with. So, but Fauci's role, whether it was mandates, etc., when he was going against medical grain, one thing that I recommend is whoever gave him his medical licensing The medical board needs to do a review. Just like with Biden's doctors, if you really want to get to the meat of what happened, all right, have these doctors go up against the medical board. If Biden's doctors say, look, we did think he had cognitive deficit. We wanted to order an MRI. He wouldn't let us. Well, they're in the clear. But if they didn't order the MRI, they didn't think he had cognitive deficit, the medical board has to decide if these doctors are still competent enough to practice medicine. Same thing with Fauci. Fauci's a physician. He has to be licensed somewhere. So whoever licenses him has some explaining to do. Why did Fauci give this advice? Why was he, if you don't want to investigate him or you want to pardon him from federal crimes, get the medical licensing involved. Now, most likely he's retiring. He doesn't need his medical license, but that's gonna definitely sift out information. But people don't want to go there. I know the medical boards probably don't want to go there. So they say Fauci now faces a lifetime ban from federal government work. It's a interesting act. It's called the Stop the Swamp Act, and it targets officials that hold information from Congress. Not being open about what happened. I get that. He has a pardon, and he wants that pardon to protect him. But we need answers. We have a lot of questions. 1-877-Doc-Dolly. Don't go away. Hi, everyone. Dr. Dahlia here. Thousands of physicians, residents, nurses, and medical students are silently dealing with depression. And tragically, 400 take their lives each year. 400! I wrote The Depressed Doctor, hoping to reach out to anyone struggling. You're not alone. Don't stay silent. The Depressed Doctor can be found on Amazon, or the book can be found on drdahlia.com. And if you or anyone you know needs help, call or text 988, the National Suicide and Crisis Hotline.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I'm into sports. Women's basketball, I'm starting to pay more attention to, especially since we have the Aces who do a really, really good job. Women's basketball pales in comparison in terms of ticket sales, in terms of money coming in, to NFL, hockey, soccer. But what's helping it get a lot of headlines is some of these awesome players, but also controversy. So we're seeing the WNBA get a lot more political. And I really want politics out of sports. But I think the WNBA is going to double down on this because they're getting viewership. They're getting headlines. And the more they could get people watching coaches wearing shirts supporting transgender kids, and Sophie Cunningham pointing, and Caitlin Clark getting, hit in the neck. They're going to be able to try to boost attention. And I got to tell you, women's basketball is interesting. I've been to an Aces game. It's pretty fun. I love all sports. But I get that, if there's X amount of money, it's going to be sucked up probably by the NFL and the NHL in my neck of the woods. But there's some issues I have with what's going on. So at the latest Indiana Fever Minnesota Lynx game, which I believe the Lynx won 108-100, the supporters for both sides, there for Sophie Cunningham, who had a stance on transgender athletes, where she does not support. She had, in a story back in July 21st, Cunningham said she supported restricting transgender girls and women from girls and women's sports, which a lot of people feel. However, she said, I got a lot of negative feedback about me hating trans. She's like, and I'm like, I never once said that. I think I'm here to extend love, but I also think that love is truth being honest. And I want to protect young girls in a locker room or young girls in a sport who shouldn't have to go against biological men. So apparently there's a rally to support Cunningham scheduled for Sunday outside Target Center. I believe they're going to be playing, I don't know who they're, however, during a game recently, the Minnesota Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve decided to wear a shirt supporting transgender kids. She wore a light blue shirt under her jacket saying trans kids belong. Now, trans kids belong in sports. That's kind of a misleading term. Any kid that wants to play in sports should play in sports. The question is, which locker room? And if it's against their biological genetics. All right? If a transgender kid wants to play, you have a shirt that says transgender kids, should be able to play sports. Of course. Let everybody play sports. The issue is who's in which locker room and who competes against the girls. Do biological males compete against the girls or only biological females? And the issue I'm having with just the concept of transgender kids is we spent decades protecting kids from parents and churches trying to do anti-gay conversion, where a child was born a certain way, and there were entities saying, we're going to change you. We're going to change you. And after decades of saying, look, you can't do that to a child. How they were born biologically is who they are. All of a sudden now we have a different narrative. Oh, if you're born biologically, no, we could change it. Okay, that's confusing to me. I thought it was harmful to try to take a child born biologically a certain way and try to make them fit into a different box. I thought that hurt the child. I thought that was very traumatizing. That's why Lady Gaga did the song, You Were Born This Way. Yeah. And I mean, it's, be proud of who you are. If you're a girl, be proud of being a girl. If you're a boy, be proud of being a boy. But to say, no, I'm a boy, I'm a girl, but I'm not going to be that. I'm trans. How do these kids understand that? I told you when I was younger, I thought I was going to grow up to be my dad. I didn't understand the concept. I thought I would grow a penis, pee like my dad, until my mom said, no, you're going to be a girl. I was a stupid 3-year-old at the time. Didn't know. And when, my sister and mom told me what it's going to be like to be a girl with the boobies and the periods, I was like, oh, hell no. But I got over it. I'm like, look, biologically, this is who I am. Yes, medically, we could stop people's periods and we could chop off people's genitalia, but that's not really an option you should be talking about with a child. And we're finding more and more that these children change their minds. Children change their minds. Maybe they feel like they're a boy. Maybe they feel like they're a girl. There was this one child who thought her mom would be upset with her because she really didn't think she was trans. Why are we putting our kids through this? Why are we using the term trans kids? And the reason why I think we need to stop using that term trans kids is we're finally done with the girls like pink, boys like blue. I thought I liked pink as a little girl because I thought I had to, but I really like blue. I like blue. I like sports. I thought the boys' toys were more fun, but I love being a woman. They use this term tomboy. I never considered myself a tomboy. I just wanted to play with the cooler stuff. I didn't like doing tea parties. Tea parties were boring. Barbies were boring. I wanted to play with my big wheel. I wanted to make mud pies. I wanted to do bug collections. I liked science. Did that mean I was trans? Wearing a skirt sucked because guys would see my underwear and make fun of me when I was doing athletics. So I'm like, let me wear shorts under this, a skirt or whatever they called it. That didn't mean I wanted to be a boy. Why are we calling these kids trans? We don't do the whole pink thing, girl toys, boy toys now. Let's say a boy wants to wear a dress. No, they say society might not allow that. Unless the boy calls himself a girl, they won't allow a boy to wear a dress. Okay, well, why does the boy want to wear a dress? Did you ever ask the boy why he wants to wear a dress? Is it that he wants to feel the cool air up on his legs because the pants and the jeans are too hot and stifling? Is it because he thinks the dress is pretty? Is it because he's getting beat up in the boys' bathroom? And if he could wear a dress, he could go to the girls' bathroom. Did anybody actually investigate why that kid wants to wear a dress? That doesn't mean they need chemical castration and infertility and to be told that they aren't who they are. I have a lot of men who are, a lot of friends who are gay, and they love their body parts. They're gay men. They love being men. That doesn't mean they have to be called women just because they prefer to be with men. So the idea that there's this term, trans kids, these kids change your mind. These kids may not know. And here the WNBA is starting to get more ratings and getting more viewership, and I think they're going to really, really be double downing on the, and I think it's going to hurt them. The more political they get, the more it's going to hurt. But again, they need the ratings and they need the ticket sales. They don't have to. I mean, honestly, these women play well. Just do basketball. But I think we could be hurting kids more than we know. And I'm looking at this. Just let trans folks live their lives. That's a beautiful sentiment. Letting people live their lives, be who they are. But when it starts to affect other people, like I said, any trans kid or go to the grocery store, marry who you want to marry. But if that means you're going into a safe space for women or competing against women, okay, now you're affecting other people. 1-877-DOC-LA.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA1. That's 800-JBS-USA1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA1 today.